Hey everyone, how's it going? Back with another video. This is going to be a recap of week 2 NFL predictions of what I said versus what actually happened, and then what I think is going to happen for week 3. Because I'm doing it early, I'm actually going to include the Thursday night game. So I predicted 17 to 31 Ravens, Kyler Murray 300 passing, defense 6 sacks. I was pretty close. Arizona did get the 17 points. Kyler Murray put up 349 passing yards. Defense put up 3 sacks. So I was really close there. Most important thing is who won, and yes, the Ravens did win 1-0. Next one, 49 was Bengals. I predicted 14 to 21. Kittle getting 100 yards, Boyd getting 2 touchdowns, Bengals winning 21-14. 49ers ended up winning 41 to 17. I was very surprised at this. Kittle put up 54 yards. Boyd didn't put up any touchdowns, but he did put up 122 yards, record 1-1. This game is the one that I was most surprised about. I thought the Chargers were going to blow out the Lions. I predicted 35 to 10, Rivers 400 yards, Hawkinson with a TD. Instead, Chargers 10 points, Lions 13. So very bad game. 293 yards by Rivers, Hawkinson 0 TDs, and he only had 7 yards on 1 reception. So 1-2. This game, 35 to 31. I had the Vikings winning over the Packers. Instead, it was 21 to 16. Vikings losing. Cook did get 154 rush yards. I predicted 150. Rodgers, I predicted 350. Instead, it was 209. Because once again, he didn't have that garbage time to come back from. Instead, they led the game the entire time. So 1-3 record. I had a much more scoring offense-oriented game for the Jaguars Texans. I had defense with 4 sacks. Jaguars scoring 17, Texans scoring 35 with 3 touchdowns to Hopkins. Instead, Texans did win 13 to 12. Defense did get 4 sacks. Hopkins got 0 TDs. Record now 2-3. Dolphins, I had winning 24 to 21. I know a lot of people were probably surprised about that, but usually Brady plays horrible in Miami. Instead, Brady did pretty well. He threw for just under 300 yards, 0 interceptions. Fitzpatrick was terrible. Instead of Fitzmagic, he was Fitzpatrick again. Absolutely terrible. 43 to 0. Record 2-4. Next one, I did have the Bills beating the Giants 17 to 14. Essentially, the real score ended up being 28 to 14. I had defense getting 5 sacks. They got 1. I had Barkley going for 125. Instead, he got 133 yards. So record 3-4. Seahawks, I had them just barely losing to the Steelers. I was not expecting Big Ben to get injured, obviously. That changed everything. I had DK going for 100 yards. Instead, Steelers ended up losing 28 to 26, so still very, very close. DK went for 61. Big Ben only went for 75. Obviously, it's because he got injured. Record 3-5. I had Colts beating the Titans 27 to 21. Instead, it was 19 to 17. If you see, T.Y. Hilton did nowhere near what he ended up doing, what I thought he was going to do. Henry almost dead on. He had 81 rush yards. Record 4-5. Cowboys Redskins, I had 38 to 27. Instead, it ended up being 31-21. Cooper had 1 TD instead of the 3 that I predicted. Adrian Peterson had exactly 100 yards less than what I predicted, but he did get a touchdown. Record 5-5. I had the Raiders winning, just because it was in LA, and usually the Chiefs don't do well away when they're versing the Raiders. I had Mahomes throwing 2 interceptions. He threw none. I had 2 interceptions and 4 sacks instead, just 2 sacks. Chiefs won 28 to 10, 5-6 record. This one I was very, very mad about, because if you watch the game, Bears got a last-second field goal, 42-yarder. It reminded me of Week 1 when my Texans lost on a 58-yarder last second. So I had the Bears losing 14 to 10. Instead, they ended up winning 16 to 14. They had 2 sacks and 36 yards by Lindsey instead of the 100. Next one, I had the Rams beating the Saints 34-31. This was not that big of an offensive game for either team. Rams did end up winning 27-9. Kamara, instead of the 150 that I said he was going to put up, he put up 60. Cooper Kupp did put up 120 yards. Eagles Falcons. I had the Falcons beating the Eagles 35-21. It ended up being 24-20. So the Eagles did end up losing. Ryan threw up 320, and Jackson actually went for 0 yards. And Wentz did throw the 2 interceptions. Last game, I had the Browns destroying the Jets, 24-6. And instead, it ended up being 23-3. It did end up being a blowout. However, once again, I was not expecting the quarterback to go down. So it ended up being 23-3, record 8-7. So not bad for week 2, nowhere near what I was for week 1. Week 1 I had 10 predictions correct, or 12, one or the other. So this is going to be my week 3 predictions now. For the Thursday night football game, I have Jaguars winning very barely, just because they're the home team, 20-17. I have Hunter Henry only going for 60 yards, because I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to stop the run. And I have their defense getting 2 interceptions against Mariota, just because, unfortunately, he throws a lot of picks. This next game, everyone is just beating up on the Dolphins. I mean, they look terrible. Thankfully, they are getting a whole bunch of picks. They got 2 first-rounders from the Texans. They just got another first round due to the trade with the Steelers with Minka Fitzpatrick. So they are in a rebuilding year. I think they have 4 first-rounders next year, so they have a lot of draft prospects. I have a feeling in 3 years they may end up being the team to watch. Unfortunately, I have them being absolutely terrible. I have Josh Rosen and Fitzpatrick. Whoever ends up being the starter right now, it's Fitzpatrick. I have them throwing 4 interceptions. I have Cowboys putting up 42-6 and Prescott putting up 4 TDs. Next one, Bengals-Bills. This was a tough one to call as well. The Bills are 2-0. However, they haven't really played anyone. So I have them winning 20-17. I do have Tyler Boyd going off again. He is having 2 really good games. I have a feeling he's going to be the breakout star for the Bengals. And who knows, AJ Green may end up leaving. So if AJ Green ends up leaving, Tyler Boyd is going to be the number 1 person. With the Bengals, I do see their quarterback losing his starting job very shortly. Like I said, I say week 10 he is gone, and they put in the backup that they picked. So that's the score that I have for that game. Next one's Lions versus Eagles. Once again, I still don't trust the Eagles. I don't think they're that good. Wentz doesn't look that good, to be honest. As we know, this is the year of the quarterback getting injured, so who knows what's going to happen. Unfortunately, predictions are way off because of that. I have the Lions winning 23-17. I have Kerryon Johnson getting 100 yards, and I have Ertz getting 8 receptions, because although I see them losing, Ertz is a reception machine. Next, I would have this as a much, much closer game. Unfortunately, the Jets, not only did they lose their first-string quarterback, they just lost their second-string quarterback. So they're on their third string now, which looks absolutely terrible. So I have the Patriots handily defeating the Jets 30-6. I have Le'Veon Bell going for 100 yards total, and I have 2 defensive touchdowns by the Patriots, because apparently their defense this year is absolutely phenomenal. They've been putting up points beyond belief. Next one, Falcons-Colts. I have this being a very close game. However, I do believe in Matty Ice. I think the Falcons are going to turn it around. And I'm not sure how the Colts do with Brissett. Brissett is a decent quarterback. However, I think it's going to take him a little while with Luck being gone and everything. So I have Julio Jones go for 150 yards. But I do have Brissett throwing for 300. A lot of it in garbage time trying to catch up. Next, I have the Raiders versus the Vikings. Once again, a close game. Raiders are looking surprisingly good. So 24-17. I have Carr throwing for only 250 yards, and I have Cook rushing for 125. He has been absolutely phenomenal. If you have him in fantasy, you've been picking up fantasy points like crazy. Next one, another close game. I have the Chiefs just barely beating out the Ravens. I have Lamar Jackson going for another 100-yard rush game. He just made history with 120 rush yards, and I think it was 250 passing. First person ever to do that. Now Mahomes throwing for 4 touchdowns. Obviously, last week I had him losing. I can't go against Mahomes. The dude is a stud. He's absolutely phenomenal. Now I know why they picked Mahomes instead of Watson, because obviously the Chiefs did trade up to get him, and everyone assumed it was going to be Watson. Almost no one assumed it was going to be Mahomes. Obviously, they did make the correct choice. Next one, I got Broncos and Packers. Broncos, I see nothing happening with them. Their quarterback situation is suspect at best. Joe Flacco has definitely... The only reason that he has the Super Bowl is just their defense was phenomenal. That had nothing to do with him. He's just an average player who cannot take a team to where they need to be. Phillip Lindsay, I'm getting stuffed by the Packers, who actually have a defense this year. And I have Devontae Adams going for 2 touchdowns. So 21-10 there. Next one, Cardinals Panthers. I do have the Cardinals in this. I love Kyler Murray. He looks absolutely phenomenal. I understand why they decided to draft him and get rid of Rosen, and actually got a great draft pick for Rosen, who isn't even playing. I have Newton throwing 3 interceptions. I still don't think his shoulder is 100%, even though he's saying that it is. I have Kyler Murray throwing for his 3rd straight 300-yard game. Next one, this was a hard one to pick. I do have the Giants winning. The only reason I have them winning is because Daniel Jones is coming in. I think he's going to spark the offense, give them something that they haven't had in a while. Eli Manning is way past his prime. He should have retired last year. But I have Daniel Jones throwing for 275 in his rookie debut, and Jameis Winston throwing for 2 interceptions. Next, Saints Seahawks. Another really tough game to call. I have a feeling Saints are going to bounce back. They looked absolutely terrible. And yes, I know they are on a second-string quarterback. I know that. Breeze is out, but I think Kamara is going to pick up the slack and absolutely destroy the rush game, get a couple of passes in the back like he usually does. And DK Metcalf, I've caught it 3 straight weeks. Hasn't happened yet, but he's been close. I'm calling him for his first 100-yard game. The guy is absolutely phenomenal, less than 2% body fat. The dude is a stud. Next one. Really close game here. I have the Texans just barely beating out the Chargers. The X factor for the Texans. I think Watt is finally going to get his first sack, and instead of 1 sack, I'm getting 3. The Chargers O-line can definitely use a little bit of help, and everyone says, yes, Austin Eckler is the best. I'm going with Justin Jackson here. I think he's going to get a little bit more of the carries. I have him getting 80 yards. Probably going to catch some out of the backfield as well. I think Justin Jackson is the one to watch for the Chargers this week, and not Austin Eckler. Next one, I have the 49ers pretty handily beating the Steelers. This would be a much closer game if Big Ben was there. Unfortunately, he is out for the year. However, they did say he is going to help coach Rudolph, which at the beginning of last year he said he wanted nothing to do with him because he knew that was going to be the replacement. But apparently, he's okay with it now. So I have 31-17. I have Rudolph throwing 2 interceptions in his debut, and Jimmy G throwing for 300 yards. Next one, another really close game. I think the Browns are back to where they need to be. They need to shake off the week 1 jitters of everyone saying that they're going to be amazing. They just need to lose one and everyone doubt them again. However, I do see them losing, but I see it being a really tough game against a great Rams team. 35-31, I have Kupp putting up 125 yards. He's just a reception machine. He's actually my sleeper pick for the MVP this year. And I have Mayfield going for 350 yards. Great quarterback. I just think he's just going to lose out to McVay there. Next one. This was such a hard one to pick. I had it going either way. The only reason I picked the Redskins is because they're at home. The Bears' offense still looks like crap. I don't know what they're doing. Mitch Trubisky does not look like the same quarterback as last year. Nobody is on the same page there. The only reason I have the Redskins winning is because they're at home. Their defense is still phenomenal. It's still stacked. Probably the best defense in the NFL. So I do have them getting 5 sacks. And Adrian Peterson, although he was shut out last week, only 25 yards, I do have him getting 80 yards on the ground. Obviously, as you guys know, he doesn't receive usually. But I do have him getting 80 yards. And that is the last game, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, last game there. So those are my picks. Comment below what you think. Even write in who your picks are. That way we can see if you beat out me. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and have a great day.